Hey, hello again. So, today I'm going to demonstrate how I wash my e-mountain bike. You don't have to do exactly the same way, but just to give you an idea. So first thing you need to do is go out and ride. Have fun, get your bike dirty, and then come back home. Make sure that you have a bike stand or a maintenance stand like this one. Put it on the rack, then remove your equipment. Make sure you remove the Bosch kiosks. Make sure you remove your iPhone if you have connected one, and make sure that the charging port that's right behind here is closed, otherwise some water will get into there. As you can see, I had some proper riding done. Most of the parts that I want to make sure are clean are these wheels here, the cogs, and the cassette, and the forward sprocket. I don't use pressure water, I just use a normal hose. As for the cosmetics, I don't really care. I just try to get the sand out of places where ball bearings could be, and make sure that when I put it in the garage that I can handle it without getting my hands all dirty. I don't get into too much detail. I just want most of it off. Some of the products that I use for the cleaning, not all the time, but most of the time, is a piece of cloth to get the bike a little bit dry so it doesn't stand with wet for many hours. I use this tool because it has brushes, and these brushes I put it around the chain like this first of all. Yep. Then I rotate the crank and make sure that the brushes get into the chain rings and remove all this kind of stuff from inside and from the outside, which you can't do with a normal hose. I also have a generic brush just to brush around, as I'm going to show. I have two of these, which are nice to get into the spaces here between the cassettes discs, and also here and on the other side. I'm going to mostly demonstrate from this side because this is where most of the important parts are, and on the other side is my house. I want to keep that private. Good. Then after I'm done, I let it dry, and before I go out I lubricate it with dry lube. I like this one in particular because the moment you hose it, it really comes off and it takes all the gunk away with it. It does not make it worse day by day. Actually, it's fully washable, and then you just have to apply a bit more on the next ride and you're very well lubricated. So let me get this out of the way. Alright, so once you get your equipment ready, you get your big time hose. There you go. Let me get this one also out of the way, and you go at it. Yeah, so I try to spray most important parts. Make those wheels spin, get the gunk out of it. Yeah. Alright, from here, all this stuff from under the seat as well. Oh yeah. Then I make it spin around a little bit. Okay, good. So as you can see, most of it, or a big part of it, is already gone. Spin this around, get that stuff out of there. Good. So that should be quite enough. Make sure, as you can see, that the water that gets behind this cover. It runs down into this area here. Then it comes out of this hole. See if we can have a look at that. Yeah, there's a hole here. Once you put the bike straight, make sure that this hole is unclogged so you can drain all that water. Okay, put this back. Yeah, you see there's some spaces there, that's where the water goes in. There's some sand still here, so I'm going to hose it again till all that amount of sand gets out. Alright, looking good. Alright, okay, one more spin. And it's already looking a lot like a clean bike. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this, but one of the other things I do is before I put it here, I make sure I clean this contact parts so that it does not scrape the paint from there. Alright, so let's say now that you want to get more into the detail of the cassette, and you come over here and you use some of these brushes to get in there. Well, this one looks pretty clean, so I'm not going to exaggerate on the thoroughness of the cleaning. Here there's some gunk, so I can use the same to get it off. And the reason why I like this setup is exactly because you can then freely rotate the crankset, make the whole thing spin, and then you can get to all the parts. As I'm rotating, I'm listening for sand grinding, and I can hear it, so I'm going to spray it again. I want to make sure that my drivetrain is absolutely sand-free. I'm going to cycle some of these speeds, change gear, okay. Get in there again. Okay, good. Get this back in here. Okay, sounding much better. Yep. Alright, good. So let's say now that I want to get a little bit more into detail of this, removing this gunk between the chain rings, and I'm going to put a higher speed so I can have this space available, but not against the wheel, so this is sufficient. I get my little can here, and I can either spray the chain cleaner, which is water soluble, or without it, just to use the mechanical brushes. I can spray in there too some water to make sure it's a little bit clean. There we go. Get all this stuff out. Good. And now let's see how this works. So you put it on the top side of your chain. Make sure that this black part here is towards the place where the chain is going to exit. Then connect it and turn. Okay, so let those brushes get into there and remove that gunk. And if you want, you can spray a couple of times, you know, like so. Make sure that everything is, as you can see, all the gunk is coming out. Spray a bit more. And just the mechanical action of those brushes really helps to get in there. Get the muck diluted. As you can see, it's already very dark, but it's liquid form. Once you've done that, you can then go for another one of these. Okay, there we go. And this crankset. Right, as you can see, I'm avoiding to spray water directly behind here, because this is where all the bearings and the bearing seals of the motor are. I don't want any fine particles and water to go in there, behind there. All right, looking much better. Good. So once I'm done with that, as you can see, the water is still flowing out. I get it off the stand and I just shake it for a while like this. Make sure that, see, the water draining there from that little hole, and make sure that that drain is working and all the water is flowing below. Okay. Oh, I still have a little bit on my seat. So what I'm going to do is, the other hand, grab the hose and go at it again. Okay, cool. All right, so in the winter, I do this every time I'm out because it comes back with mud. In the summer, only when it starts to accumulate a lot. And you see, things like this, I don't mind. I think it makes the bike look a mountain bike, which it's supposed to be. Make sure that these parts are clean, you know. Make sure that there's no dirt on the chain and the cassette. That's it, pretty much. Yeah, this part here must also be cleaned because this is where the seat post goes into the frame. Shake it a couple more times. All right, then I put it back here. I don't want to make it too tight because this is carbon, so I just lay it there mostly and I tighten it a little bit so that it doesn't shake away. Then I get my piece of cloth and I go for the most important parts. And I start on top. I don't do much on the detail. I just get out most of it. Okay. Yeah. Then make sure you get this here. These tensions get cleaned. Good. All right, so that pretty much is it. I can see that there's still a little bit of grease mixed with sand over here. Then what I do is I get the cloth, make sure that my fingers they don't get pinched in here, and I just go and do it like this, you see. Of course the cloth will go to washing immediately after, because now it has accumulated a bunch of gunk with oil. Yeah, same here. This one is a little bit harder to get to because there's not sufficient angle, but nevertheless you try. Okay, and then you can use the brush as well. See, this is why the large brush is useful. Then you can get one like this and try to rub it off. Okay, then get this again. So after such a, let's say, thorough cleaning of the chain, you for sure will need lubrication for the next ride. Let it dry, let everything dry before you apply it next. Alright, let me see if I can spin it. Yeah, nevertheless, you see, there's still gunk between the cogs. It's not cogs, it's the chain links. And yeah, you must get to that. Depends on how much time you have, how much patience you have. You can get into all of that detail or none at all. So that's it for today. How I wash my bike. And again, if I don't have this, it makes it a little bit harder to clean the chain if I don't have the stand. But I also have the bike stand where the bike is on the ground, and I can do 99% of the cleaning like that also. If you don't have a garden, you can go to the corner of your garage. Make sure you only have a good water drain, or you get a big bucket of water with a good brush and you try to get the most out of it. Et voilà. Hope you enjoyed.